Episode 286. Who is Jay? Jake groaned and whispered, "Improve the taste next time." Carlito did not respond. Jake turned over the stack of documents that Lila had given him and scanned them line by line. Soon his eyes fell on a document, Robinson Group Architectural Design Requirements. Jake saw the title and a light crossed his deep eyes. Carlito had been with him for more than 3 years, so he immediately noticed the small change. What's wrong? He rushed over and glanced at the file. Jake's lips were slightly curled, but it clearly revealed his good mood. Feeling a faint pain in the corner of his lips, he wiped away the blood and his eyes became cold. Glancing at the bodyguard who had leaned over, he asked, "Do you want to go back to the police station?" "Of course," he rolled his eyes. "Don't you want to go back to see your wife and children?" "These days I may have to stay out a little longer. You have to cover for me." "What are you doing this time?" He became anxious, his voice extremely low. "You know that you have been running out these days, and I was scared to death." "I said earlier that we could go out in half a year at most." Jake's voice was extremely low. His eyes had not left the document, and he slowly turned a page. "When was that?" 2 weeks ago. So we have 5.5 months left. But now with my wife's help, we can get out in 2 months tops. 2 months. Maybe he could make it to the twins' birthday. Thinking of this, Jake's look became soft. Carlito's eyes lit up. He was overjoyed, rubbing his hands excitedly. "Really?" But very quickly, he became serious and asked, "You asked your wife to help?" "Yes." "How can you do this? Didn't we agree?" "I'm not exposed." Jake interrupted him, looking at him with cold eyes meaningfully. "Since I promised you, I intend to keep it, but please help me the rest of the time." Looking at him, Carlito was a bit puzzled. "Really?" Jake ignored him and looked at the documents again. He said coldly, "Go to the door." "Yeah." He glanced at him but quickly went to the door as the guard. No kidding. If someone else found out about their little secrets, it would be awful. Jake turned on the computer and his fingers danced on the keyboard. A black screen quickly popped up, and blue, white, and red codes were displayed on the screen. Changing the location to Canada, Jake opened a small temporary desktop screen. Serena became more and more panicked as she felt more certain of Jake's whereabouts. Hearing the words that came from there, Serena leaned on the bed and was completely helpless. Holding the mobile phone, she stared at the 3 numbers and her fingers trembled. She eventually deleted it, opened contacts, and dialed Keith's number. He quickly picked up the phone and he sounded quite awake. "Serena?" Hearing his voice, Serena immediately felt that she had found support and couldn't help but burst into tears. "Keith!" He straightened up, his brows knitted. "Serena, what happened?" I found him! He's still alive! Still alive!" Serena's voice was rushed and choked. "He's taken hostage by Lila and is locked up in some jail type of place." She cried, "Let's save him! He must be in so much pain." A proud man like Jake had been locked up in a place for more than 3 years. That must have been so hard on him. And he was using drugs. That woman had actually forced him to do drugs. Serena felt that she was about to collapse. What did she do? She did not want to see him like this. What would Jake look like now? Bent, wilted, pale, thin? How could he? How could he take that? She wanted to save him. She must save him. Keith became alert and looked incredulous. His first reaction was to ask, "Where are you?" I'm at home." "Where is he?" Serena could not speak coherently, and Keith too calmed himself down and said, "Don't worry, I'll go to the old house. Wait for me." "Okay." Keith hung up and picked up the car key, leaving immediately. After the call, Serena felt her heart was emptier. She listened to the other side and heard some small noises. No, Lila was no longer with him. She was disappointed but felt happy for him at the same time. Suddenly, her phone vibrated and it was a message. Serena unlocked the phone and opened it. Jay. There is a hidden loophole in the CE contract. Do not leak it when signing the contract. In the future, you can use it against them. Serena looked at the message and felt a bit dazed. How did he know that she was collaborating with CE? He seemed to have a very good understanding of her and her company, and he also had perspective about the market and land. Whoever this was had the same eye as Jake. This guy, who was he? She stared at the screen for a long while and replied, "Who are you?" As expected, there was no reply. Just like a stone thrown into the sea, not even causing a trace of waves. Serena held her cell phone for a long time. She wanted to put the phone down, but then she received another text. "I will not harm you." Yes, he would not hurt her, but who was he? It had always been this gray-white profile picture. All of his information was blank. His age, time of registration, identity were all fake. Who could this be? An infinite number of possibilities flashed in her mind. J. Should be an initial. This was someone who had business sense and knowledge. This person also knew how the market worked. Among all the people she knew, Drake, Jackson Roberts, Mary, or was it Henry who was helping her? Wait, but the initial was J. Was this a farce? A decoy to hide their name? Or a sign for her to recognize who this person was? Serena sat up and opened a chat window with him on her cell phone. A hip-hop monkey's head was smiling at her with big white teeth in his profile picture. Henry was an IT major. When he was in high school, he was already a hacker prince. It should be easy for him to change his locations. Plus, for so many years, he had always been feeling that way for her. Did it mean... Her heart raced as she had a terrible and very likely conjecture in her mind.